three F's: follow up, follow through, and follow back. If you master those three and sprinkle a little bit of tech and AI in there, dude, you will crush it.
Abdel Khawatmi. Let me see if I said that right. Khawatmi. All right. Man, today was an awesome podcast, one that I actually took more notes on than I have on any other one. So I hope you guys like it as much as I do. We're talking with Abdel Khawatmi. he's got a harder last name than I do. Anyways, I met this guy up on stage at Sales Mastery, and he was all about tech, right? That was his gig. And then later that night, I had a chance to talk to him, and I really, really appreciated where he's going with it, right? Because everybody talks about it, but very few people are actually implementing it. So I picked his brain a little bit. Next thing you know, we became friends. Next thing you know, he's on the podcast, and I ask him a million questions on this. And a lot of it, quite honestly, is for my own benefit, because I'm so deep into AI right now, and I want to be more proficient than the average person, right? Like, I want to create workflows through automation so that we can do my personal goal is 12 hours worth of work in 8 hours. And that's my mission right now. So I learned a lot from Abdel, and I think you're going to as well. I mean, we're talking about GPTs. If you don't know what those are, just listen, you'll find out. And he's got different GPTs for his realtors and, his clients. And then I had these ideas of, you can create one. My personal one is, I'm going to create a GPT, and it's going to be a role playing GPT, one for my mortgage advisors and my realtors. And let's have role playing all through chat and work on what we do for a living, on how we talk to clients, right? If you're a realtor and you are doing open houses, well, that's something you have to master. That is one of the best ways you could possibly get business. But if you don't have it down on how to talk to them when they walk in, you're gonna lose out on opportunities. So one of the takeaways I had, I mean, I got a bunch of notes right here, is create a GPT just for role playing and give it to my realtors and help them be able to master their skill, right? So that's just one of the many. There's so many. I'm not even going to sit here and list them all right now, because you're just going to love this entire conversation. So I hope you enjoy it. All right, here we go. We're ready to go, because I got a lot to learn from this guy. So it's kind of fun. I'm not just going to interview him like I do everybody else. I'm going to pick his brain. I'm going to learn myself here, because I met him on Sales Mastery and on stage, and I was like, man, he's doing stuff with AI that other people are just talking about. So, dude, how are you? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
So, brother, listen, I wanna stick to the format of the show for a little bit, but I'm gonna like fast forward a lot once we get to the boring part and really just get into the AI stuff. So, but right now, just to start, who are you today, both personally and professionally?
Yeah, so Abdel Khawatmi, first of all, I'm a man of God, most importantly. Second of all, I'm a father to two beautiful children, 13-year-old, 6-year-old. 17 years to this day, I put a joking post on social media. I asked my wife out for the first time as my girlfriend, and she turned me down. And I always messed with everybody and said, 2 days later, the art of follow-up, she said yes. So in 2 days, it will be our 17-year anniversary. And of course, everyone's busting my balls because they're like, all right, well, did you use AI to follow up? Um, so, super, I'm always faith, family, fitness, finance, right? All that equals freedom. So love going to the gym, non-negotiable, early morning workout, crank away. Been in the mortgage space for a little over 8 years now. Same company for the last 8 years too. And we're just cranking away, going through the ebbs and flows of pre-COVID, COVID, post-COVID to, I guess this is post-COVID, right? Into what I think 2026 should definitely be another rock star year. And we're super technology driven, and excited to see where the industry is shifting.
So if you don't mind me asking, I should have asked before, but you want to brag a little bit? Like, what are your numbers?
Yeah, I mean, listen, accolades are accolades, right? So top 1%, NARA, Zillow, the whole shebang. We're just shy of 50 mil, individually. I'm always one that shares the love too. At the end of the day, we're all producing leaders and market leaders. I care about my net ROI. I don't need that loan to be individually in my name. So we're certainly sharing the pot with our originators, with our branches, and taking it from there. We're up. I always say what I brag out is net revenue, not just unit count and volume. 2024 to 2025, we're up 262% as of end of October 31st in net revenue. And that's the number that I'm most proud about, right? Could we do more loans? Sure. Are there more, rock star originators out there and branches that are doing a lot more volume? 100%. I hope they're doing 400%, in revenue, but that's the number that I target. And tech and AI and a lot of that stuff is absolutely one of the biggest driving forces for that.
So I love that because you're right. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your numbers are if your pocket's not deep, you know.
Sure.
Now, and the other thing, just because you brought it up, I want to just talk through it a little bit because it doesn't get talked about often enough in the place of business. But you said you're a man of faith first, and I love that. I am as well. I try and put it out there on everything that I do, so that it is out there.
Sure.
And I'm happy to hear that you're proud of it and not afraid, to say it. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
100%. I mean, listen, my whole life changed. My father passed away about a year and change ago. And he was probably one of the most pious people that I know. And I was always the young kid who, we've we've always made a good living, thank God. But it was always like it was based on me, 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 right? And until I've kind of changed my whole mentality of that, in remembrance of him, and most importantly, thanking God for that, man, I'll tell you, our life has changed significantly, and we lead with that. Like I said, I've got two children, and they are the epitome of what I live for. And it's truly allowed us that much more to be blessed on a day in day out basis.
So I'm just going to dig into it a little bit, right? Might as well. Um, were you always a believer?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I grew up, like I said, in a household where, like most of us, probably some of it was ingrained in it. Um, Certainly since losing my father, that definitely was like, okay, dude, I don't care how much money you got, I don't care how much money you could do this. It's not, if God has it written in his will that it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? And I need to lead with serving truly, God, then my kids, then my family, then my community, then my originators and my employees, then my clients, then my partners. And I'll tell you, man, since making that shift, and it's crazy because everybody knew mortgage guidelines, right? Bringing it to work. Everybody knew your FHA, your VA, your USDA, your conventional. But I'm part of an organization where we actually pick a charity once a quarter, and we actually throw events and actually give back to communities. Next year is going to be solely based off of, to an extent, four different cancer communities. One for children, one specifically for breast cancer, one for adults, and then one is a little bit of a toy drive that we're going to do for Q4 around Christmas time. And I lost my father to cancer, right? And I'll tell you, since making that shift, waking up in the morning, actually doing it, right? Not talking about it, but meditating and staying on top of that stuff and leaning on some resources. It's definitely allowed us to wake up, with an impassioned, day to day motivation. So
Man, I'm embarrassed to say, when I met you on that rooftop that day at Sales Mastery, I,
there's
I,
a
I
lot of
took one look
alcohol.
at
Sure.
you and I was like, he's from Jersey. He looks like he's rough and tough, and he's this and that, and you are just a little teddy bear.
There's definitely a combo or two, right? Couple of shots of tequila will certainly put that perception too. But it's funny you said that, right? So many times when I meet with partners and clients and stuff like that, right? They look online, they see this 290 pound 6'1" dude. And then as they get to know you, right, they're literally like, dude, you are like a teddy bear. And I take that positively because I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Maybe that'll allow the opportunity for you to open a conversation rather than vice versa, where you're like, this guy looks scary, and I'll take that all day. So
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. So let's get into it. I want to go back to day one.
yeah,
Actually, first, how old are you?
35.
35. All right. Day one. How, why, when, where did you get into the mortgage business? Like, why?
Yeah, so originally I was going to school actually for law school, right? With my wife. We both met at Rutgers. I was the meathead that was in the gym. She was the soccer player, right? We were both studying for political science, pushing through, was actually continuing to go to Rutgers for my law school. Then, no. So end of junior year, starting senior year, I found out that she's pregnant with our now soon to be 14-year-old. So I was like, holy shit. We got a veer left. I was digging in school. If you've ever flown through Newark Airport, I actually used to work in one of the restaurants at Newark Airport, Gallagher Steakhouse. That's no longer there. So we've always made money, thank God. The hustle was always there, and I got that instilled from my father. But we did that, and then eventually I had the choice: go to law school and maybe max out at making, call it a buck 50, 250, or get into the workforce. Right? Decided to get into the workforce. Ran a PI firm hand in hand with a managing partner, for about 5.5, 6 years. While I was doing that, a lot of clients were getting their cases settled. I was the face, right? So I was the one getting the litigation management, the settlement distribution management when you got your cases settled. I was the one building relationships with the PI, doctors and chiros and PTs. So you're building the actual infrastructure for them to refer business and bringing a bunch of internships from Rutgers to get these people to come want to work for us for the law firm, and get credits and all that. But a lot of clients, when they got their cases settled, you got a load of cash. What are you trying to do? Probably buy a house, right? That's kind of where I got pulled in, where I would pass them off. I've shared this time and time again on some pods where I'm like, the same common complaint that I got 8 years ago since I got into the business is the same common complaint I get now is communication, right? Yo, the guy you sent me, he's not picking up the phone. I'm calling him, or the gal that you recommended me, she's not answering. So I got so frustrated after a while because at the end of the day, reputation is everything. Went, got my license, started working right with my current institution, and haven't looked back since. Right, about year and a half, year and change in, I got my license in April, May of 2018. So whatever the math is. November of 2019, I closed 6 transactions in 1 month. And I was like, oh, shit. And back then was a lot different in terms of margin than it was now. Went into it, right? Picked up, closed a lot of business, went to PRMG, and I was like, hey, I think I'm ready to go solo, right? Went solo and haven't looked back since, right? And it's crazy how the business has evolved, right? I was always one for videos. I'm sure you probably saw some of my older videos, right? Where I looked like I was, I hadn't eaten for days, versus now. And it's funny, you become more your authentic self as you become more in business, right? Where you saw, I'm not going to wear a suit. Time and energy may I gotta identify my audience and understand if that's where I'm going with. But now I'm always in, my got mortgages gear, right? T-shirts, my car's wrapped in our stuff, where we eat, sleep, breathe it, right? And we haven't turned back since, right? And we're blessed with the business continuing to move in the direction that it's going and take it from there.
And would you say most of your business comes from some form of marketing, or are you a referral-based guy?
As you probably heard me on stage, right? I track everything. So I can literally give you the exact statistic of what it is. 41, yeah, 41% of my business came from realtors, which is pretty low relative to the industry standard, right? Which tells me predominantly, listen, we love our realtors, right? Realtors are always, in this market, going to be the bedrock of the initial touch with a consumer. About 15% of our business comes from financial advisors, which has been a market that I haven't tapped into fully. That only started about a year ago. This is a 2-year stat that we ran. Almost 6% of my business comes from the gym. So talking to people, collaborating with people, bullshitting with people, again, repping my got mortgages stuff. Everybody sees you, then they run into you. You got your QR code on your t-shirt, people are scanning, all that stuff. Um, almost,
No shame.
yeah. Well, you saw the truck, so that in and of itself does it. 20% comes from networking and personal. About 14 comes from social media, and then the rest just comes from, again, just collaboration of online lead flow, consumer direct, leads from Zillow, Realtor.com, and all that. And we take it from there. 14 loan officers right now. We've got 4 satellite branches, 3 other branches spread out within New Jersey. We're in the stage now. Actually, I literally rushed to make sure I was on time with this because even scheduling this, and it's always fun to try to get everything through because you get thrown a gala right in front of your face. I'm like, oh sure, I'll go and support this. But we were meeting with a broker owner. He's got 4 offices. He's struggling with his current lender. My sales manager put the connection together. We put the business together, and we take it from there. So we're on such a big growth push right now, growth strategy of growing. The systems are there, the tech is there, the VAs are there, the automation is there, the products are there, the ops is there. I mean, we're at a 14, say call it 15-day clear to close, start to finish. Some months might be 18, some months might be 11, right? I think it was July, we're at 11 days start to finish from the disclosure of the file to the clear close.
Awesome. And are you guys a broker or banker?
We're direct. Yeah, so PRMG, well, PRMG is a three
So you
channel.
got your brand under PRMG.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but it's funny because everybody knows me as Got Mortgages, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's your brand.
yeah. So,
It's brilliant.
but PRMG again, we're retail. It's a three-channel company, so wholesale, retail, and then correspondent. Which I always say gives us the ability in some instances to broker out some products. I mean, some of the shit that I see out there. I mean, there are some crazy programs that I think are starting to come back pre my days, right? But like no doc loans, right? I think quote unquote stated incomes or community loans and all that. Obviously, your typical DSCRs. But I know maybe I haven't personally dabbled, but you could probably agree with me, Dino. Right now, I think we're starting to see some of those unique products that you knew were like taboo back then are coming around.
So, dude, I've always said when it comes to banking, there's this fine line of greed and fear.
Sure.
And I think everybody's pretty comfortable with where we're heading. So that greed is now starting to kick in. And you're gonna see the second it like sparks just a little bit. I mean, it's happened. I've been in it for almost 3 decades now, right? So it happens every time. The money's there, they come in hard and they just make, make, make. The second fear kicks in, they pull back.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So all right, so let's jump now. Let's just jump forward. The reason why I was attracted to you, not in a physical way at all, by the way, just in in every other way, was all the technology, right? So it is really big and heavy on me right now. I'm trying absolutely everything I can to level up, and I would say I'm probably better than the majority of the people out there because I think the majority still use ChatGPT as their new Google, right? And that's a shame because that's just like level one, right? So I've actually gone on a 30-day sprint. I'm calling it where I'm waking up at 4 a.m. and I'm doing nothing but AI work until everybody gets to the office. And that way it's uninterrupted. And here's what I've learned in that period of time, which by the way, I'm extending it another 30 days because of what happened. I was like a kid in a candy store, right? And I got distracted so much because every time I opened one door, I was like, oh my gosh, like endless potential. And then I just kept going. And next thing you know, I'm all over the place. But I saw in matter of 1 week, I saw all of the potential that I can literally do all by myself, right? And truly affect how I conduct business on the daily. So then I stepped back and I said, all right, I just got to start finishing projects now and leveling up everything about how I do stuff. And then the next 30 days is when I'm going to actually start changing workflows and implementing things and forcing others also to do it as well because I do believe that if you don't force them, sometimes they're gonna have a hard time getting out of their own way to learn what you got to do. So that's me where I'm at right now. I actually was motivated when I heard you up on stage at Sales Mastery because I first of all I love statistics, right? Like analytics. It's dear to me,
Yep.
and I don't understand how so many loan officers don't know squat about where their business comes from and how good they are at it, right? Like, what good is 100 leads if you're only closing 10? Anyways, with that said, let's just jump right into now. what you're doing, how you're using it, and you can start wherever you want. But where I want to end up is actually workflow, right? Like, how are you shaving hours off of your day every single day because of what you've implemented?
I love it. Well, kudos to you for one. I always say, right, it comes down to planning, implementing, and executing. And I think a lot of us, especially when you go to, I mean, those guys do an awesome event, right? I mean, Don and Gito, since shit, we were at our president's cabinet in, I think it was,
Oh, they're PRMG too,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was April. I think this year was April because they shifted on to April, May. It was April. These guys were planning this damn thing, and probably even before, but I'll never forget it. We're by the pool, and then we got up and talked lunch. These guys were shooting the shit, and they were sitting there asking me for advice, and of course, fucking I opened my big mouth, so lo and behold, I ended up being, um, but these guys put so much time and effort into it, so I got to give them a shout. Um, but listen, dialing it back, I mean, starting from the bare basics, right? ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT, I always say, is at the cornerstone of our business, and I'll share a lot of the different things of what we're doing with it. But just from the bare basics of asking it to do a social media caption or asking it to do an email rewording, that's usually how many people start off with, right? Um, did you know you can integrate it within your calendar and integrate it within your emails to actually daily send you a reminder in the morning and in the afternoon of what you've done or what you have coming up on a daily basis? And what I love it is it also tells me at the end of the week how many calls and how many events I've actually made. So every single morning, right before the start of the shift, my mornings start at the ass crack of dawn. I'm up at 4, and then it's sending me a reminder of literally 4:59 because that's when I'm wrapping up my lift of what I have coming up. And then it's so funny because I have VAs and in the Philippines, and I've got my VAs throughout. But it's reminded me if the event is on Zoom or on phone, which has actually been a cool thing because so many times you just get a reminder of, hey, you have 11 events coming up and this. You're like, cool. You're like, oh shit, I didn't realize this was on Zoom. So that's been a game saver. Another part where I love is that it counts at the end of the week. Sunday at 8 p.m., it will actually tell me what I did the entire week tallied wise. And I
But
split,
only because it was on your calendar, right? If it wasn't on your calendar, it won't know.
I was just going to get to that. So you need to respect the integrity of your calendar, though, to the point where my wife, who we've been together for 17 years, knows that in order for me to physically be at my son's jujitsu, at my daughter's lacrosse, at my son's swimming, got to be in the calendar. Our anniversary is coming up on the 13th. We're going to do lunch. I told her, I don't want to be an asshole, but do me a favor and let's block it out. Jeff, not even for me not being there, because I'd be screwed if I wasn't, but just so the team who has immediate access to my calendar doesn't go in and book another consumer time. And, yes, it's faith, family, fitness, finance, but sometimes you got to dabble between the two. Sometimes the family and the fitness part gets switched. Um, so going back to my point,
So it's interesting from a perspective. I'll say faith, family, fitness, but the reality is, as soon as I wake up, it's faith, and then it's fitness because everybody's still sleeping. That's why I
sure,
wake up so early
sure,
because I don't take up anybody's time, right? Like family time. So it's faith first thing, and then fitness, and then really it's business, and then next thing
and
you
then
know,
family,
it's family.
everyone's up. Yeah,
But
yeah,
but I always put it the opposite,
yeah,
right? But that's why I wake up early.
exactly.
I got a question to ask you
Yeah,
on that. So in my journey right now, I've I've s- I I'm still doing some things a little too manual. But for example, I spend the majority of my day trying to grow the company. So I do a lot of recruiting, and I'm like yesterday I had 5 different interviews, and what I did recently was I switched. I don't allow them to have a phone call anymore. So I give them my calendar link, but I set it up so it's only through Zoom. And I did it on purpose so that I can record everything. And then what I did, which I'm really excited about, is I created a project. Tell me, I'm saying all this so you can actually tell me how I can do it better. I created a project for other people that don't know what that is. It's like a folder, and I call it recruiting. And then I have not automated my order to go directly in. So I have to go in and export it out of Otter and then drag it in, right? I know I need to fix that. And then it logs everybody. And then if I have a second interview, right, then throw that in. And then I have a pipeline manager. And if I move them, which I do physically, if I move them from cold to medium to hot, as soon as it hits hot, it auto creates a folder, and then it almost creates like a dossier for me that tells me this is everything I need to know about this person, including like, and I try and ask these questions like what their kids' names are, their wife's name, so that it can know that, right? And then depending, there's certain people where I personally will say, I will personally coach you every other week for 90 days. And then I'm going to help you create a roadmap to success, right? And then I told Chad, I said, okay, now this is one person. I moved to hot. It was in 3 different interviews. You know everything about him. Create my dossier, what I need to know. I was going in for the close, and I said, remind me, tell me how I can come in for the close on this final interview, and then help me create the roadmap. And it took everything that this person spoke about, and it created this roadmap, right? And I still need to tweak it a lot. Maybe you can offer suggestions, but I wanted to do like a 30-day, roadmap, a 90-day, and that's where my coaching stops, and then a 1 year of where they need to be, and then try and come back and revisit it and show them and tell them like, well, listen, this is what you're doing, and you're not on path, right? Let's divert you a little bit.
Yeah, dude,
Anyways,
I love it because, I told you we're on such a growth tear right now. My recruiting calls are Wednesdays. I call them Wednesday wins. And my calendar's a fucking disaster. But I use
and does
Zapier.
that turn into a wine Wednesday afterwards?
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, I use Zapier for a lot of the connections that you had mentioned. So I use Fireflies. So Fireflies, Otter, Fathom, whatever one you use. And then
Is real quick, is there a difference in any of them?
honestly, there may be like some tweaks. I just frankly just think again, it's the cliche saying of the best one that you use, right? The best CRM is the one that you. It's the same thing, right? I personally just use Fireflies for shit like 2 years, and I've kind of just stuck with it. Why I love it is that it also just jumps into the meeting by itself. So as long as the consumer or recruit books a meeting, I'm the same way. It has to be on Calendly, and it has to be via Zoom. And once they jump in, it automatically jumps into our team Zoom meeting. And then the Firefly comes in by itself, right? And then does the recording. Once it's done, it will actually drop it in a Google Drive, right? Of the Fireflies where everything is organized. And then I actually have a VA jump in and grab it. And then in that manual folder, once they move it into that specific candidates folder, it actually zaps to Trello. And Trello is kind of like a pipeline manager, and that it'll give me the whole database of where they're at, right? If they're a prospective loan officer, if they're a protected branch manager, and what they have to bring to the table, right? If they're looking for just branch support, ops, because it comes down to sales service support. Are they looking for sales support, which means they're probably an originator, so they need lead generation stuff like that? Are they looking for just service support, which means that they're just a branch that doesn't have the potential revenue to build an ops team, or doesn't have the potential revenue to figure out the automation part, and they're still using their grandma or their aunt because they're loyal to her? And then support, which is usually social media, right? Social media, tech, podcasts, automation, all that stuff, community involvement, whatever. But I use a lot of projects too. I love that you do that. I actually I have like a project for everything, even my workouts. It's called Gorilla List. When I go in there and it's like, all right, I'm gonna do back and buy. So do me a favor, put me a back and buy together. I got about 45 minutes. Make sure I'm supersetting back and biceps. And then it does the whole thing. It's funny because when you first go in, we know what to do, right? You're gonna go, you can do lat pull downs, and then you're gonna look for, oh, this is not there, so you can move on to the next. And before you know it, you come home and you're like, fuck, I didn't do the overhead, right? This also kind of keeps
I,
me
I
in.
I think that's just addiction on your part, man. You know
Um,
exactly what to do after all those years in the gym, but you just
I
can't help
do.
yourself.
No, I can't. And so there's that. I've also taught it, and I'm sure there's so many great platforms out there that do something similar. But I've also taught it how to read Schedule E calculation. I might have mentioned it on stage, where like the clients just snip Schedule E, so profit and loss of a rental property. They snip just the gross rent down to the expense because I don't know where the confidentiality is, of course, but we snip the gross rent to that for 2023, 2024, say, and you drop it in there, and it'll actually do the income calculation. Be like, all right, this is the income that you can use. If it's a pay stub, there's a different project for hourly salary and bonus. So a worksheet, and I've usually picked it up from just so many Excel spreadsheets of MI companies and stuff. That, right, they're usually the ones firing away that, and you've loaded it with that data to say, hey, make sure you do it this way. That's sometimes where it gets tricky, right? Hourly salary. Well, they were part time, now they're full time, so now you can use the full time income, or it was declining by X amount, so now you got to use the lower of the two. So it's never, I always say, never going to replace the LO truly or the processor, but at least going to allow them the ability to automate some of that stuff. Schedule C is easy, right? You just simply pull out the net income, add the depreciation. If you want to go crazy and do the mileage, sure. Um, but where I've loved it is the LOA doing LOEs, right? Letters of explanation or LOXs. That's actually been pretty cool because we've got the HUD handbook, Fannie Mae selling guide, Freddie Mac selling guide uploaded. So it knows to revert to that. Non-QM guidelines. So listen, every company is structured differently. We have like 4 or 5 different product, I guess you could call them like profiles for our non-QM stuff, right? You've got like expanded access, you've got all, you've got this, you've got that. I've uploaded like each call it guideline doc where like one of my LOs asked me yesterday, she goes, what's the lowest that we can go on the bank statements? So my typical Jersey douchebags, I don't fucking know, check the resource center, right? And then 2 seconds in, I'm like, no, go to ask.mortgages.com. It's a custom GBT that we built, and you can actually literally ask it and tell me. And I'm not going to move. I'm actually going to tell me, say what it does. And it pulls specifically from the information that we have taught it. Okay, well, 620 credit score, 25% down, OO slash RNT, right? Owner occupied slash rate and term. Perfect. Right. I'd mentioned the custom GPT with Ask on Mortgages. I mean, we've literally taught it to the point where we try to get our loan officers and real estate agents to be like, hey, how many realtors text you about, hey, what's a monthly payment? Well, go to askonmortgages.com, drop the Zillow link to the realtor.com link, clients putting 10% down, and it spits back exactly the breakdown. I only want you to put principal and interest payment. I want you to estimate $150 if it's under 500,000 purchase price. If it's over 500,000, put 200. Make sure you put the disclaimer that interest rate is only pulls from Mortgage News Daily, right? Don't pull from Bank Rate, don't pull from Wells, don't pull from here, do it from there. And then the other thing is do me a favor and make sure you put that the interest rate is subjected to, I'm going to go old school with the 4 C's, right? Is subjected to your credit score, your collateral, your capital, and your capacity. And make sure you emphasize that with the client. And every single time at the end of every answer to a prompt, I want you to say, for personalized guidance, make sure you reach out to a licensed loan officer at gotmortgages.prng.net.
Hold on. I got to write some of this down. Hold on. I'm writing a bunch of stuff down. For personalized what?
For personalized, well, you could go to Ask on Mortgages and fuck around with it too. But for personalized guidance, make sure you reach out to a licensed loan officer at gotmortgages@prmg.net or our office number.
Perfect.
Now,
Okay,
I
quit.
always tell my realtors too. I'm like, listen, pick up the damn phone and call me. Right. This is not meant as a tool for you. I always call them because I want to play nice. This is not meant to replace like a stadium lender, as I call them. Right. Um, I'm not trying to build that, but I also understand that there's different types of consumers. Just like the first conversation I have with a client is, what's your preferred method of communication? Is it CTE? Is it call? Is it text? Is it email? Right? Or do you want to come to the office? Sure, let's do it. Same thing to a real estate agent, same thing to a loan officer. What's your preferred method? Do you want to just use Blend, right? Do you want to just use a typical old school? I mean, dude, you'd be surprised. Till this day, I still take like 1003s manually over the phone with the consumer. Some of them may not want to, right? But that is where I say, for about my average consultation, I would call it, used to be a lot longer, but let's say 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Um, I'm taking the 1003 while I'm talking to you, and you don't even freaking realize it while I'm building the rapport, right?
Quick question for you. So, guidelines. How do you So this just came up last night. Somebody was saying, "Hey, why don't we just create a GPT for all the guidelines, right?" And I thought to myself, "Man, what a nightmare, right? Guidelines from Fannie, Freddie are easy, but they're always changing. And will it know to go out and reach an update every time there's an update, or do we have to go in and do it?"
You have to go and update.
Which scares the shit out of me because quite honestly, like, we got folders, right? Like a shared database, and you can go in and you can grab this and you can get, and there everything in there. I'm embarrassed to say, but it's so outdated. Nobody goes in to update anything, and then it worries me to create this and have somebody go and it's different. And from our perspective, so we're hybrid. We're brokers, call ourselves brokers, but we're non-Dell. And we use Rocket, right? And Rocket has they call it Pathfinder. You can go in there and just do anything you want. It's all part of the gig and it's up to date 100% of the time, right? I don't know. It just that's the one piece that scares me a little bit. But I will say one takeaway that I wrote down is to put some real effort into thinking through all of the different places we get business from. So I wrote, think clients, think realtors, think CPAs, think certified financial planners, right, and attorneys, and work with chat to come up with all the ways that we can get business from these people, and then create custom GPTs specifically for each one of those platforms, and then give that to all my loan officers and say, like, if you want to grow your financial planner platform, this is where you come,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you could build it as like Ethos FP, so Ethos Financial Planner, you know, Ethos Attorney Esquire, Ethos this, right? But what I've kind of kept it all in one at the AskGodMortgages.com. I've linked it with the Google Drives. I've uploaded, like I said, the HUD handbook, the Fannie guidelines, and all that. We've got a teammate that is responsible for updating that stuff, especially on the non QM side, because they're changing their stuff every 2 minutes, based on probably defaults, or their appetite for risk. Right. That I think either before we went live or right when we went live, we were talking about that appetite for risk. Um, so combination of everything. But listen, if you're someone watching, if you want to start somewhere, right, the first thing I would say is identify where are you spending so much time in your business, and is it yielding you the results that you want? And if it's not, that's okay. That's the thing you can automate, whether it's to a virtual assistant, whether it's to an LOA, whether it's to a processor, whether it's an ops manager or sales manager, or in today's world with AI. I mean, I've shared with you either in person, maybe I haven't, right? We shaved $17,000 a month from last year to this year alone in salaries from the automation, right? Empowering our loan officers, empowering our BAs, empowering our LOAs, empowering our processors with tech, right? Everyone's in the wave of like, oh, I need a virtual assistant. Dude, we've fucking been doing that for like 5 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, we used
And the one thing I've learned, I think you're going to agree with me, is I'm at a point where I can't talk about it anymore, and I can't even just introduce them to it. I have to force everybody to use it because nobody actually takes that leap,
Mhm.
right? Like I just switched from Microsoft to Google so that I could have better connectivity, better everything, right? Which is tough because we've all been using Microsoft in the finance space for so long. But dude, more than half of the guys are still on their Outlook. They can't like make that switch. They're gonna have a rude awakening the second that license expires. But but I'm like, guys, pull the trigger.
yeah,
There's
we
so
use
many other
Google,
benefits.
we use the Google Workspace because of the Google Drive, because of obviously Docs and Sheets and all that stuff. And it gives us, I agree on the control. There's also a chat integration within your Gmail, so now you can collaborate within one another. We've got Outlook too, believe it or not, with corporate from a post contract. So I always, you might have heard me say this. I always treat a transaction into four phases: a consumer experience, the initial touch to the pre-approval to them finding a house, post contract, so they found the house, to closing, and then post closing, right? And I always say, our VAs are actively involved in the first two phases: initial touch to pre-approval, because they're actively following up and ensuring them and taking us from cold to warm to hot, and then they're also following up in regards to just Did you find a house? Do you need monthly payment? Do you want us to run amortization schedules? Do you understand the difference between, I mean, a 30-year and a 50-year mortgage, right? Let's talk about that, right? And I immediately jumped at it, put a full blown MBS highway breakdown. I don't know if you saw the video where I did the 30-year and then I did a 50-year and I did an MBS highway breakdown between the two, showing the monthly payment difference, showing the amortization payment difference. I don't want a consumer to ask me about it. And that's been a big part of my business over the last few years is I want to be able to put visuals, guides, PDFs, whatever it is, before a consumer asks a certain question. I want them to ask that question, but I also want to be like, "Hey, that's a great question. Here's a bomb video, here's a YouTube video, here's a PDF, and here's a guide that I control." I'm not sending them into the dark world of the internet where now they're gonna see ABC company, XYZ company on the right side, and they're gonna get pulled into that world. Now I'm out of the picture. I'd rather control the information I feed them and then show them that, hey, I actually understand that this is the big topic and I already answered this and I'm going to share the info and give you the info. But at the same time, I'm also going to share with you some educational info that you could take back.
Um, Let me ask this question on email.
Mhm.
So, if I could pick one thing that I would venture out, I'd put whatever wager you want on this. The biggest time suck in an originator's day is email. And I've done a couple things to try and fix it. So, we use a platform called Roam,
Yep.
and
I know, wrong.
it's okay. It's like a Slack, it's like a Zoom, it's like a bunch of stuff all in one. It's all integrated in one. I really love the concept of it. I love how it looks. It fits this progressive, technology feel, and I've told everybody, do not email anybody in house. Send them an instant message through Roam. If you want to talk to your processor or whoever, just boom,
Jumping
hit
up.
them up
Yeah.
right in there, right? And it's cut back a lot on email. And I said, think of it this way. If you guys are looking at your email, it's because you're actually conducting business with a client. Everything else needs to be over here. And oh, by the way, it's got a built-in AI assistant. So another reason why you want to keep it here is because you're going to forget all sorts of shit and you're going to say, hey, what did my processor say about the income on this file, right? And it should know because it's all in the chat. So going back to the question now, email is the biggest time suck in an originator's day. And a poor processor, I mean, my gosh, I can't even all the emails from escrow, the loan officers, the title companies from everybody, and all they get is a million, if six people on the chain, all of them saying thank you. It's like, okay, that's six emails I had to delete, right? Like stupid. So through technology, um, are you addressing that at all? Have you figured out a solution to solving that problem?
No, because I'll never figure out the reason why you just said, right? 17 people saying thank you to back to a response. What we do built on my infrastructure with my LOs is a loan officer grabs the contracts, uploads their docs to a drive, completes the qualification milestones, and then I always say, excuse me for my French, and I tell them, fuck off. I never want them involved in the file again. Yeah, I refuse for you to be involved in the file again. We will disclose the file. I will lock the file for you as an originator. We will push to get the file obviously approved, conditions. If there's a little bit of back and forth with a client on why do you need this or why do you need that, that's when we tap in the LO. But we're actually emailing for them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like clockwork, non negotiable on their behalf with everybody on the chain. I don't need the originator involved because once the originator gets involved, what ends up happening, they're only counting their commission. All right, so I get to pay 125 basis points. And it's a $500,000 loan amount. So it's $7,500 or whatever the math is. My mortgage is 3,000. Oh, I don't really have to pick up that extra phone call or two. Let's be honest, right? And I tell them, I'm like, dude, this year alone, I had 4 files clear to close and they died. 2 were like oil tank sweeps. 1, the seller didn't want to fix CO issues. And one of them, the deal just totally just blew up because the seller passed away and they had the proper, obviously, estate done in advance. I mean, you literally can't make this shit up. So, so that's, I haven't figured out a point where we've automated. I do have a lot of, like I said, my VAs are involved from just gathering docs, cleaning docs. Clients upload documentation. My BAs are grabbing it, uploading it to a drive in a resub folder. So the processor, the LOA can grab it and upload it to AIQ and Encompass and make things more efficient and stuff like that. Um, are there tools out there that can? Yeah, but
Have you messed with the AI fixer, I think it's called,
no.
where it responds for you based on it reads all your emails
I've
to
seen
take a
what was it called? Because I want to take notes.
I think it's AI fixer or fixer AI or something
Okay.
like that. And
I've
I've heard
seen
mixed
one,
response.
like, you'll see, I think it's Gemini for Google, where you'll see now, like, where it's templated responses and stuff like that. Um, I also think, and it could be a bad thing or a good thing, but I also know it's probably a reason why a lot of realtors work with us, is we're to an extent involved in the file where I know a lot of that stuff. It hasn't gotten to a point where, in my opinion, it slowed us down. Frankly, when I'm in the sauna, at fucking 4:45 in the morning, I'm doing the emails for the originators on myself, and it gets a lot, right? I mean, you're talking like 50, 60 transactions sometimes. But I always say you're usually like there's a file goes through like three phases, right? Where you're like, um, pre-disclosures, right? So we're waiting on docs, or file submitted, you're waiting on approval, or the file's approved and you're pushing it to get clear to close, right? Everything else is on me, right? Like we use Encompass, which is the freaking oldest system in the world. But
It's got the
but
best connectivity though.
I was gonna say, but ICE owns the goddamn world, so you got no choice but to use it. But so what do we do? Is we use BombBomb. So we built BombBomb within our Encompass milestones. So like every time the file is moved from here to there, instead of them getting a cheesy, we have TE. Shout out to TE and all the stuff that they got. But instead of them getting a stick figure video where it's like, hey, your file has now moved here, it's actually a video of me literally here in my home office saying, yo, dude, what's up? Hey, just want to let you know a file's been approved. My process is going to reach out to you. She's going to send a list of the conditions. It's going to be in a table format, organized to the underwriter's request, who's responsible for the transaction, and what does it mean in simple language. So excited to make it work for you. We haven't locked your file yet. My team's going to jump on it and do it. Right. File submitted, for a clear to close. Bomb video goes out. Hey guys, want to let you know, I'm more than confident you sent us over all the documents. Sometimes the underwriter's busting my chops a little bit, so she may ask some additional questions after that. But just in case, I feel pretty good on this one. And then when she comes back, when I reference in a conversation, hey, remember when I said the underwriter's going to bust my chops on it? Well, she's being a little annoying about this or that or whatever the case may be, or we might have missed a page, or we need the property settlement agreement. So the expectations kind of set where I think that automation side is done. I have not figured out a point. Everybody busts my chops about it because they're like, "Well, you haven't figured out how to automate it," and I'm like, "You really can't. Like, it's almost impossible to now. Will AI eventually learn this stuff and other stuff? Sure, frankly, I don't want it to because I think that's what allows us the ability to what people want to work with. Someone like you, someone like me, where we know the file, we understand the mundane tasks, we understand a lot of the things that make us unique. And I think it's just all about the delivery of the message of how we break it down to them and take it from there.
Yeah, agreed. Is there two questions? One, what have you done so far that you're the most proud of technology wise? And the next question, what are you working on or plan on working on that you're super excited about?
Yeah, so I would definitely say the custom GPT has been a huge lifesaver, and pouring a. I mean, like probably on a daily basis. I'm constantly like, hey, remember when I told you to do this? Hey, let's replace it with this document. I uploaded it to your knowledge center, right? And I'm constantly going in the instruction side and teaching it to do this or that. I mean, dude, there's so much. I mean, like playing around with like captions AI for like my videos and stuff like that. I definitely say super empowered to train our support staff on how to become so empowered with AI for the LOAs, for the processors, for the VAs, for our loan officers. Just pulled the trigger on fuel, with Alex and Todd. We're actually going to be one of the AI instructors. So definitely stoked on that from a branch and just a brand perspective. But I always think too, like, all right, well, imagine I can now sit there and give my real estate agents access to it from a generic account to jump in and role play with myself or with Todd, and I don't have to charge them shit for it. That's powerful too, right? Um, so I mean, there's that. It's just where I love to now because we're on such a recruiting tear, right? We've taken over three of our direct competitors in our local market to come work under our umbrella. Everybody always, let's be honest, when I now that I've hired, I'm like, why the fuck would you guys not want to see Uncle? They're like, well, you're a fucking gorilla. And every time you walked in the room, you're like, this fucking guy is here. Because you're not just doing the talking, you're actually, like I said, plan, implement, and execute. Like you met with these realtors. By the time we've even thought about reaching out to them, your team has already emailed them. You guys have already texted them. Like I do it purposely when I go to a networking event, which I have a VA responsible for a minimum of 4 times. I must do a networking event a minimum of 4 a week. So I literally have a VA who's responsible, not just your typical chambers of commerce as a BNI and the tips that we're a part of, like different rooms that I want to be in. They're responsible to find me a minimum of 4. Now, if I go to them, it's a different conversation, but I do. Like I go and like build Jersey Shore Builders Associations, all that stuff because it's cool and you get to meet different rooms. But my point is, when I have gone and I have meet with people, what's the first thing they say? Oh, do you have a business card? Sure, I give them mine. They give me theirs. I take a picture and I always give it back to them. And they're like, why are you giving it back to me? I'm like, my wife's gonna wash my laundry and she's gonna kick my ass and then come and kick yours because it's dirty to clothes. I'm like, I guarantee you one of my teammates will reach out to you by 9:15. And if they don't, I owe you lunch. So what I do is literally I take a picture in front of them. I actually drop it in the Google chat and then they have a specific script where I'll be like, Jersey Shore Country Club. So they know, hi, person on the business card. This is John Doe with Abdel's team at Gone Mortgages. Abdel was so excited to meet you at Jersey Shore Country Club, and he wanted to set up a time because he enjoyed the conversation that you had with him. Here's his Calendly link.
All right, so I'm I'm a little overzealous right now because I've been so focused on this stuff, and I'm still so young at it, but man, I'm so excited, right? So I just had this idea. Couldn't you just open up chat, take the picture, drop it in chat, tell it real quick where you met the guy, and then have chat do all the research it can on the person, and then automatically drop it into the Google Drive or the Google Chat?
You can, but this one is the VA is reaching directly out to the borrower, making the conversation, making the engagement. So they're doing their research. I mean, don't get me wrong. They do their research, they plug it in. If it's an agent, shout out to Eric and his team at Model Match, right? There's a whole prompt. I get I could sit here for hours, man. I'll tell you, like, since we shifted our focus, like when I meet with a prospective real estate agent or a referral partner has connected me with a real estate agent, the team has a specific prompt to go to Model Match, snip, the 7 or 8 tabs or MMI or whatever the hell that you use. I'm a fan personally of Model Match. I always will be. But they're taking that, they're snipping it, they're uploading it to chat. There's a specific prompt of what they say. They upload it, and it's basically like, "Hey, I'm a licensed mortgage professional, super successful in what I do. Make sure you approach this real estate agent from a coaching, business planning perspective. I want you to emphasize the focus of the 3 sales, service, support based on the business of where they close and the map of the area that they close. Make sure you map out a whole plan for them. In this verbiage, make sure you come off like Abdel. So it's bold, Jersey leadership. So it talks like me and it curates an email. The team will email the professional and schedule it 10 minutes before my meeting. So before I can meet with the professional, I'm giving them an idea of what they've closed, who they've closed with, what area they've closed, how we could help their business. They're an 80%, listing agent professional. Well, you also have 6, agents on your team. Why are they not leveraging more buyers? Are you leveraging that opportunity? Are you guys using list reports to create that stuff? Do you guys have custom QR codes? Do you have loan officers that are out there helping you promote that? Are you guys running social media ads to get buyers based on those listings? If you're not, those are the conversations that we'll have. And then we'll meet with the agents. And it's such an empowered conversation to have prior to the actual meeting because it shows them, hey, this is not just a loan officer that invited me out. First of all, I'll never do coffee. Against my doctor's recommendations of caffeine, I get enough from my pre-workout in the morning. But you have such an empowered conversation with them. And again, being able to train your support staff to use it while you've kind of perfected it and moved on to the next phase is super, super important.
do you think it's not the right way to ask it, but do you think we're going to need CRMs anymore? And I say that because like first of all, most CRMs suck. As far as the common person trying to use it, there's too much going on. It's too confusing. But what if you just every time, right? It was like you can either dump it from your email into chat, right? Or just say, hey, I just met this guy. Here's his name. Here's his business card. I personally have a star ranking system that I use. Give him a 3 star. And let's set up a program where I'm going to reach out to him every month until he meets me for coffee, right? Or whatever it might be. And I don't know, anything else you can think of, right? And it's just there. You don't need to physically go look at it and open it up anymore. Then you have another conversation with them, hopefully through Zoom, and automatically it just fills it into his bucket. I don't know how that framework would really work, or if there's a way for chat to create maybe a really simplistic CRM that just tells you what you need to know. What most people use a CRM for is like, oh, give me the name, give me the phone number, star ranking email, notes.
Yeah,
And
I think I'm seeing a lot of CRMs are integrating with chat, with Gemini, with Perplexity, with all that stuff. There's certainly some common phases between the two. I do say I mentioned it before, Zapier being a huge integral part of it too, where it's linking like I use Big Purple Dot, right? So, which is just a CRM, just like TE, just like Follow Boss for our agents and all that stuff. Um, so it's moving it from one phase to another, and now there's like power ups for Trello where you can move it so it updates it within your CRM, and then Zapier puts that same note, right? There's so many different like automations. So like if I put the note once, it's added in all phases, right? It's added in the client's profile in follow up boss. There's an agent follow up boss. It's adding it in a profile for Big Purple Dot, and then it's simultaneously building it through there. I don't really use ChatGPT that much for the interface of notes and stuff. I've got the VAs for that. A lot of times first of all, I don't make phone calls to consumers. My VAs make the phone calls to the consumer and then transfer me over. So that's another thing where I'm not the one that actually initiates the first phone call because frankly I'll probably forget. I know it's there, but I'm not looking at the clock at 11:59 unless it's to see Dino. Then I'm like, fuck it. It's 1:29 and we start at 1:30. I better make sure I jump on. But they're making the initial phone call to that partner and transferring it over. And then we actually record every single phone call and we let the consumer know. So it's recorded. We use Ring Central for our office line. Hey, is it okay if I record this call? I just want to make sure that I'm doing my part so we can hold ourselves accountable to future conversations. First of all, no client's going to say no. So we take that and then we actually take the VAs, take the recording and upload it to Fireflies. Um, and then it generates, like what do you want to call it? Like a cloud-based link. The VAs will take that cloud-based link and actually drop it in the group text because they make a group text between myself, the referral partner, and the client. And I might have shared this on stage. So now that real estate agent or that referral partner, that financial advisor, or whoever that connecting you to that client, he don't need to ask if you connected with that client. You got the full blown summary with the recording, with the Zoom call or the audio call or whatever of the entire conversation that we had. Can that step maybe somewhat be automated? Sure. But you know what? This is what we're actually doing, right? That's what I said on stage. Everybody's talking about, this noise and talking about this and talking about that. This is what we're actually doing on an actual database based on our day-to-day workflow and it's brought us the results that we're looking at now.
man, I'm feverishly taking notes. I got so many great ideas. Um, as I hear you talk, right? Like I like some of yours, then it makes me think of stuff I got going on and how I can just better it. Um, so I love that last piece, right? Like uh, we use dial pad and we don't record every conversation. But I know we can just API it right into Google Docs. I'm guessing the answer is yes, but can then I have it automated to get right into chat without us having to dump it in.
Sure.
So then I can just tell chat or Google whenever there's a new folder or new something here, just send it over to chat, right? Chat can create a summary, or Gemini, I guess, can do it too. But I'm tired of like separating too many things. I think just bring it back to chat. Create now. You don't create a project for every single client though, do
No,
you?
no, no, no,
No.
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 Do you have a project that says clients and then it just drops in there and then you just have all your clients in there?
Well, in that situation, we're not even going to the client. So like if we let me
No,
work.
but let me hear out my thing, right?
Yeah.
And you have the entire initial conversation. You have all the needs, the wants, the budget, the gift funds, whatever it might be that you just discussed, and then it creates a summary that can then go out to your realtor partner saying, "Hey, we just finished speaking to them. This is everything you need to know. Blah 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 blah. We're going to put you on a drip." And then it can go to your processor or LOA, and now everybody's in the know and perfect, like done.
Yeah. Yeah, so Fireflies, and I can only attest to the platforms that I use. Fireflies, when you upload the recording, does that. So it does the meeting summary, it does the transcription, and then it gives you the video recording. So I don't have to like take the video recording or audio recording and then upload it to chat and then grab that and then drop it to the client. What I found with Fireflies, it does that. And then, like I said, it gives it in like a shareable link. They could drop the link in the Google in the chat conversation, right? The text message with the referral partner. And then we actually take the summary and drop it in our big purple dot notes section. So it's always
Do you
reverted.
manually have to do that, or can it be automated?
It I'll be honest, it's manually being done. Can it be a step and I think I had maybe ended with, can this be a step where we can kind of automate, right? Sure. What I'm excited about is, I've had my VAs for about Tony just hit 5 years, so call it 5 years, right? Which is a
Nice.
very long time, right? All of them
Yeah.
have been with me for a while. I think the shortest term one now is like 3.5 years. Um, and they just got annihilated. And they continue to get annihilated with this typhoon out in the Philippines. So luckily we saw it coming. They're all safe. They're in hotels. I made sure they were taken care of before all that stuff. Um,
Did you
but
book them a hotel with Wi-Fi?
we did actually. I
Got
got
to keep working.
I got them the Starlink.
There you go.
Literally no joke. Um, so I'll tell you one thing. I'm excited for the AI voice and the AI text. I met with a company yesterday. I won't go out and say who they were because I know they're still in the process of getting their kinks together. But it was funny when I was sharing with him some of the text message drips and email drips that I shared, as it usually happens when I meet with a new company. They're like, "Dude, can you send me your shit?" And I'm like, "Wait, who's demoing who?"
Yeah.
But they
Dude,
got it.
I gotta tell you, man, I had you so wrong when I first met you. You're actually deep. You got a lot of depth in
There,
there.
there, there's a lot going on. But I'm like, wait, who's demoing who, fucker? But he super super cool dude, right? Building out a system. So I'm like, listen, I don't need, and I could be wrong, but I don't need too much. And I might have said this or I don't. Did I say that I have 3 different clients, right? Maybe I didn't, maybe I did, right? I have my consumers, I have my loan officers, and then I have my referral partners, right? So I said, I'm pretty confident in our approach with our consumers. I Every time I travel, which unfortunately is once a month usually, um, I usually when I'm in a plane, that's actually my time where I love going into my CRM and playing around with my text message drips and email drips. So generally once a month I'm tweaking it. I'm also going back to finding out who's responded to which email, right? Right now the most producing email is the one where it's like a 4 layout picture. It's like a ranch, a mansion, a condo, and a multi, and it says, "Hey, these 4 houses came on the market. Which one do you like?" They'll respond back and be like, "4," and it's like multifamily. I'll take that and forward that email to the realtor and be like, "Yo, bro, make sure you guys are finding every single multifamily home for this client based on new 500,000 market specs, right?" So you have fun with it, but this I haven't really built out as much as I wanted to, like a real estate agent automation part, right? Because I kind of just always felt like that was a little bit more personal. So this AI text company is going to be helping us build that out where it's pretty engaging. Again, I just had my first demo call with them, but I Already my head was moving in several directions. I had my growth manager on there, my BDM, business development manager, where I'm like, dude, now you can't freaking complain to me, right? That you can't touch a minimum of X amount of number of agents, right? And then I'll share it because they shared it on stage. TE, right, with their voice AI. Um, I'm super stoked for that. I know they're launching that to a few companies. That should be dope, right? Because in addition to my LOs calling, my BDMs calling, my sales managers calling, my VAs calling, now I'm going to have an AI augmented agent that's going to also be doing those text message follow-ups and voice follow-ups. And then the biggest part is plugging into a system that actually converts. Right now in our market, what's your local market? Are you in Florida? No, no, you're
No,
Arizona.
Orange County,
You're,
California.
yeah, you're in Cali. So it's funny every time I think I told you on the call yesterday. I'm always like, all right, 1 hour back, 2 hour back, 3 hour back. Right when I'm trying to figure out my time zones. Um, but what I always see is just lack of execution from my competitors, and that is where we crush it, right? Like I just met with the real estate partner, like I said before this call. Right when we hang up, I already know exactly what I'm going to say. I'm going to recap the entire call. I'm going to recap the entire meeting. We're going to do all that stuff. And that is where I think if you're an originator out there and you didn't take anything out of this hour call conversation, the only thing I could tell you is execute, right? If you promise a client something, if you promise a referral partner something, right? It's the three F's: follow up, follow through, and follow back. If you master those three and sprinkle a little bit of tech and AI in there, dude, you will crush it.
Man, I have loved this conversation. I got so much out of it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's gone long, but I finish every podcast this way. So I just got to ask a couple more questions.
Sure.
What's your favorite book?
Uh, I would probably say Atomic Habits, James Clear.
Okay. And this is my favorite one. If I picked you up and took you away from your family, took you away from everybody you know, and I dropped you off somewhere in America, I gave you just enough money that you can survive, right? But like, that's it. You don't have all this like free spending money to go, marketing and taking everybody out to lunch and doing, you got to go like guerrilla style, right? What are you going to do? And oh, by the way, you can't go see your family again until you make $1 million.
Sure. I love that. Um, that's such a phenomenal question. The first thing I would say is identify what is moving the needle in my local market. Finding the top relationships that I could build off from a local level, allowing them to be my soundboard while I continue providing value to those referral partners, expand and extend heavily into the local community, and making sure that I'm that presence, right? Where everybody knows, likes, and trusts me. And whether they don't like me, they're going to know me, as I say. Because I know, as I always tell my referral partner, I know most of you fuckers don't like me, but I know for a fact you know me and trust me, right? From the vehicle, from the charge, from the online exposure, from the in person, from the events, from the books, from whatever it is, and I would follow that exact same flow.
And
Obviously,
how do you do that in a short period of time without a bunch of money to go wrap your car and all that other stuff?
sure,
Like how do you get them to know you, like you, and trust you?
being absolutely consistent and stuff, right? If you wanted to shoot social media content right there, it doesn't cost you a dollar. You might need a cell phone. You could freaking grab a flip phone and start doing it, and just stay consistent, day in, day out, day in, day out. Lead with education, right? I'm not getting dropped off not knowing anything about the market. And if I can talk about, hey, government shutdown hopefully is done, right? Did the House meet yet? I don't know if they did. But right, Senate passed late last night. Now the House met. What does that mean? That means that those I freaking lost 3 contracts over the last 30 days because they were government employees. That means that I can now go back to those 3 consumers and say, hey, we need to get back on the market. They might lose that trust. And I'm like, you know what? Because of that bad experience that you had, I'm actually going to do an appraisal waiver for you. And I'm going to give you an appraisal credit to make sure that we actually make sure you don't wait that extra 6 months or a year to purchase. Building the empathy, right? Making that relationship, stressing the urgency without sounding like I got commission breath, I think would absolutely be a reason that'll allow us to continue being back on top.
Well, man, you were great. I appreciate it. I don't know if you ever get out to Cali, but I'd love to.
I
take you
do.
out for.
I do.
In fact, I'm not going to take you out for dinner. I'm gonna invite you to my house where I'm going to cook
I
Greek
love it.
food for you, and show you something that really tastes good. What nationality are you anyway?
I'm Syrian.
All right, so you'll like Greek food.
Oh, I love Greek food.
Before we go, I'm gonna do a little social media picture here. Let's go. Give me a little. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna get the other side of that. There we go. There we go. Ready? Right there. All right. Guys, we are here to empower, educate, and equip you with the tools you need in order to do lending the way it should be done. And I think from a lot of this conversation here today, obviously there's new ways of doing things. There's tech that you have to learn how to adopt, and don't wait around. Like, get involved now. Start learning it, right? Mess around with it. But don't forget, there's an old school way that never really goes away, right? And when I asked him that question, what would he do if he had to start all over again? The reality is, a lot of it is old school. You're going to be in front of them all the time. You're going to get them to like you, and you're going to get them to trust you. And sure, you're going to use some new techniques, but the reality is the bones are the same, right? Like, it's how you create relationships. Relationships are made mostly by interaction. Nowadays, you can have interaction through technology, but and it's not 100% the same, but if you want more, like, impact, go face to face with people. That's what I've always said. I've never lost a deal face to face, ever. And nowadays, face to face can be Zoom even. So don't discount that. Don't shy away from the tools that you have that can help escalate and empower you with the things that you need to do to succeed. So guys, we love you. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed this, please share it. Please tell your friends about it. Come back, listen to other podcasts. Visit us on our website, Katsiametis.com. I know it's a handful, but you'll find it there on wherever you found me, somewhere in the notes. Dude, thank you so much. Do you want to share any of your information and anything if anybody has questions for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Abdel Khawatmi, gotmortgages.com. Definitely not hard to find us online. Instagram, got_mortgages, Abdel Khawatmi. Anybody out there who's looking to collaborate, shoot the shit, just talk, exchange ideas, collaborate. I'd be more than happy to share some of the stuff that we're learning some of the things that some of you are doing, and expanding our horizon from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.